everyone has tasks in their to-do list that get carried over. You move them from day to day, from week to week, from one to-do list to the next one. So these are the zombie tasks. They don't get done, they don't disappear, and they don't die. They just sit there quietly, creating guilt every evening just because they exist. Sounds familiar? So, why do these tasks stay there? Is it a lack of willpower, or are we just all lazy? Well, actually, there is nothing wrong with all of us. The problem is not our motivation. The problem might be in our planning system that is not designed very well. But do you know who never suffers from zombie tasks? That's your computer. That's right, it manages thousands of processes at the same time. And it has strict rules that prevent any of them from getting stuck forever. So in this video, let's look under the hood of operating systems and see how computer algorithms can help us to finally kill our personal zombies. To understand how this works, let's look at 3 types of tasks that might be in your to-do list. First is the big task. For instance, writing a big report or a thesis. That's heavy. That's intimidating. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you keep postponing it and postponing it for later. Second, the screamer. Those are small but urgent things that constantly interrupting your day. A work chat message, an urgent call, an email that needs an answer right now. Screamers are always getting to the top of priority because they create this feeling of emergency. And finally, what are your plans? This is a classic zombie task. It's not urgent, it won't change your life today, and it's quiet. And it always ends up at the bottom of the list. In computer science, there is a name for this. It's called starvation. Your mental processor, your brain, is so busy dealing with screamers or preparing for the big task that your plans never get enough resources in your attention. And this is where things get tricky. When we try to be organized and efficient, we usually rely on a set of standard algorithms, standard approaches that feel very logical to us. For example, we do first whatever comes in last. Last in, first out, like a stack of papers on the desk. Or we knock out the quickest task first so that we feel productive. Or we focus only on what feels most urgent and most important. On paper, this looks brilliant. It looks very efficient. However, in reality, these approaches are exactly the ones which create the problem. They cause starvation because some tasks keep getting attention while others are pushed to the side and waiting there forever. But if we look at what's really happening inside of your laptop, we see a very different picture. Computer systems almost never let tasks die of starvation. And this is because they use slightly more advanced algorithms. So when we look at our never-ending to-do list, what we see is chaos and procrastination. But an operating system sees something very different. It sees a mathematical problem. How do we get the most work done in the least amount of time while making sure no tasks wait forever? So why not borrowing their solution? Let's look at 3 different approaches that can help us to keep our tasks moving. The first tool is called round robin, where each task gets a small equal slice of time. In real life, this approach is widely used as well, and it's called the Pomodoro technique. So what you do is 25 minutes of focused work followed by 5 minutes break. And you're setting the timer for that. This is, by the way, also where the name comes from. It refers to the kitchen timer looking like a tomato, Pomodoro. And, very important, these 5 minutes of the break are really essential because they give your brain time to switch context. Without breaks, your mind cannot fully let go of the previous task and pick up the next one. And by the way, those 5 minutes are perfect to go and water your plants. Just saying. All right, but the round robin is not perfect and it's not enough, especially when it comes to this big task, your report or your thesis. Your brain needs time and it needs energy just to get into the flow of something very complex. And interrupting it every 25 minutes to switch to something completely unrelated is very, very inefficient. Computers face a similar problem, by the way, because switching tasks for computers are also costly. They need to load and unload the data from hard drive to your operating memory over and over again. And this is where another strategy comes into play, which is called batch processing. In computer systems, batch processing means grouping similar tasks together and handling them in a single run. So you set aside a large block of time for one big task or for a set of closely related tasks. And you ignore the screamers, you turn off your email, you silence all notifications, and you stay fully in deep focus on the task at hand. And inside of these blocks, you still use Pomodoro cycles and short breaks for subtasks, but you don't switch context. And this is far more efficient than jumping from task to task for both computers and for humans. So, with these 2 techniques alone, you can get pretty far and make a lot of progress. But what about the remaining zombie tasks? The ones that sit in your list for weeks and months because they are not urgent and they don't belong to a big task also. Your computer has a solution for that too, and it's called priority aging. The idea is very simple. The longer the task waits, the higher its priority becomes. So the system basically says, okay, that was not urgent at the beginning, but it's been waiting so long. It's time to get it done finally. So the task ages until it gets to the top of your list. And in real life, it works the same way. If a task has been nagging on you for weeks and weeks, then stop pretending it's low priority. Just give it a high priority, simply because it's getting on your nerves. And then do one of 2 things. Either just finally do it, or, which is also totally fine, delete it. In computer systems, this is called a timeout. If process waits too long without any progress, the system will just kill it. Sometimes, the best way to defeat a zombie is really just to admit, I am never going to do this. Just let it die. So, here's my system. I time slice small tasks using a timer. I group tasks by context and set deep focus blocks every day. And by the way, Outlook has an awesome feature to do it automatically. And if a task waits too long, I either do it now or let it die. Deleting a task is also a decision. Remember, the procrastination is not a weakness of your character. It's just a bug, an error in your scheduling algorithm. And bugs can be found and they can be fixed. The way Master Yoda puts it, do it or do not. There is no try. And if you want more algorithms for your everyday life, I highly recommend the book called Algorithms to Live By. This is a brilliant practical guide to bring order to human lives using ideas from computer science. Enjoy!